Friends of our channel and YouTubers, welcome. Answers of an alien from Andromeda, 5th to video, July 12, 2011. Question: Mythi, which you believe will happen in this sequence until October this year? Well, the following events will be to cascade. From this month, you will notice that the changes are accelerating, both climatic and tectonic rearrangement. CB asked me about this last mission in space of your government, and I have not to say about the agenda that may be brewing. But the activity will increase with the influence of dwarf star through the asteroid belt. There is the possibility of many pieces of rock being thrown against objects in the orbit, and a large increase in the incidence of cosmic energy arising from this instability. It is not a good time for this type of activity, and they know it. It really makes this attitude a little suspect at the time of the events. In this current position, the dwarf star is getting close to the Sun. It is already heated by solar flares, which are bombardment in its direction, and its heated surface will reflect sunlight, and emit heat that will make it shiny and slightly reddish. Earthquakes and volcanism are expected to increase, clockwise in all junctions of tectonic plates. In the event of a major volcanic activity, including some large volcanoes, the atmosphere will be very full of soot, and this may prevent a good view of events, and thus cause a sharp decline in temperature globally. Watch for your moon at this time, because it can rotate a few times until she returns to the normal position of magnetic equilibrium, while passing the dwarf star, which will, for the first time, the possibility to observe its external side, or dark side as you call it. Stay tuned also to a large number of asteroids that could be captured by the dwarf star and spread toward the Earth and Moon. Such asteroids should not reach the surface in its entirety, because it will be consumed by your atmosphere. In the case of the Moon, the asteroids that hit will cause lights that can be easily seen from Earth. Question: Mythi, which date is expected for some intervention by you to support this process? See, when you talk about me, actually is referring to all who are here helping the planet, which are many different breeds of origin. This assistance will be rendered possible only when we are authorized to act. At least 8 different races are engaged in this process. With the list of coordinates that you will give us, we hope to gather your friends through our fleet, as we know best, and we are used to exchange ideas. Depending on the course of events, this could happen in October or November. Question: Mythi, so there is 10% of humans left. Is there going to be lower vibration and higher vibration people, or is it just going to be the higher vibrators? You do not understand correctly what I say. This colony is expected to be approximately 680 to 700 million inhabitants. This was consolidated during the century. Probably, these numbers will be stabilized by 2060. This means that after this passage to a level 1 of frequency, will be a mixed level of people between the highest and lowest. Over time, this will be an automatic selection, for those who are not attuned, not be reborn more here in the next incarnations. They may be living on the planet, maybe even 1 billion people, depends heavily on the events, and the actions of your government to expedite depopulation. What I say for sure is that the predicted for the balance of this colony is the ideal percentage for perfect harmony with the planet, and this will happen naturally. Question: Yorick asks, Mythi, within your own society, does failed attempts at suicide, homicide and/or accidental kills occur? How does your society react to the victim, or to the offender? Yorick, The last case of suicide volunteers that we had are already about 900 years. This was a case in which the colleague felt guilty for an accident with a ship in which he was the pilot, and his crew died. He was not satisfied with having been the only survivor. In our current range of frequency, there are no crimes or suicides nor victims or perpetrators. Question. Tammy asks, Mithy, in the new era, here on Mother Earth, the storms and nature will stay as they are today? Tammy, after 2012, the planet will begin its healing for all problems caused by nature and by man. The new society, with a high sense of balance, will take care of the planet. The planet then responds, with a warmer climate. There are techniques to help control the time, that could be implemented by you as a consensus, by making the most productive agricultural areas, with predictable rainfall, temperatures, and controlling large areas. All this can be implemented in a society that thinks on a global level, for the well-being of all who can benefit from these procedures. Volcanic areas will always exist, because the Earth is still burning inside, but all the stress accumulated to date will be neutralized, so the next millennium will be very quiet. Question. Toter asks, what happened with the Earth and the Earthlings 3,600 years ago by the last visit of Nibiru? How did the life on Earth survive? Toter, there 3,600 years ago, the Earth had very few inhabitants compared to today. There are many underground cities that you are now discovering in various regions of the planet, some of them capable of accommodating thousands of people. Many people, advised and aided by the gods, build these facilities, warned of what was to come. Some colonies were literally moved to other planets, because they have a good degree of development. But you have records of this passage in some of the remaining cultures, who speak in floods, plagues, volcanoes, etc. Question. Yorick asks, Mithy, you told us of breeds derived from marine mammals. The community Galactica considers them humanoid. Is there more to tell on their appearance, their customs, vessels, and biology? These breeds are by far the least known of. Yorick, the dolphins are very good and advanced societies. Indeed, they are not attractive to the humanoids from other strains, because they have thick skin, arms and legs a little shorter, round eyes, and faces with different anatomical shape, and many teeth. There are many thousands of years, before the advent of the community Galactica, they had many problems with other races. Their ships were much feared, they had many weapons, and not reluctant to use against anything they consider threatening. With the advent of language translators, and the formation of galactic communities, they proved to be very good-natured beings. They work very closely with Arcturians, in several colonies. Question. Mithy, was there any UFO battle, around 14th of April, 1561 in Europe? If there was a battle, who was in it? Which species? And what was it about? According to records from the database, is there a conflict at this time, in Central Europe, between Arcturians' ships and a fleet of Dark Grey's pirate spaceships, as they were collecting human genetic material, to carry out the solar system? The former base Arcturian of Nova Scotia, Canada, was advised by the Gateway's controllers of Community Galactica, and they were intercepted, rendering the pirates' spaceships. There was fighting, but, at that time there were no cameras, so, there was no interaction with local society. Question. Paul asks, why are there so many bases at Antarctica? Many countries are represented there, but there are almost no telescopes. You had mentioned a valuable substance, under 1 kilometer of ice. Could you elaborate? Paul, the countries that have established bases in Antarctica are there to guarantee your fair share when there is a division of the continent. In fact, this was done because the US government did not pass the information on the alien base in Antarctica to others, simply created rules for the research bases were installed in the coast. The Antarctic base did not bother with it, because they do not disrupt operations. On the new mineral, it is not included in your periodic table. It is mineral with zero resistance, at room temperature. Widely used in our old ships, before the advent of unipolar magnetoplasma, which uses only atoms specially programmed to twist the magnetic field generated. But with this mineral, you can build spaceships perfect for intergalactic travel. Only in this near-tectonic rearrangement, the Antarctic may be explored, as will completely lose the layer of ice. Question: James asks, Mithy, you talks about an intelligent life created our dimension, but who created them, and who created those who created them? Where it all started? What are the first dimension ever created, and how it all started? James, this is an unanswered question. It's how you look at yourself in a mirror, and put another one behind you. It will generate endless images. You only get spotting, as far as your sight can. From there, you know that the images continue indefinitely, but you can no longer spotting. Our vision is limited in the third dimension. We have to improve what we have, and imagine that we are in a one-way street, or walk forward or stop where we are. For those answers, only moving on, keep walking, beyond what you see. Question: Jose asks, is there such thing as a demonic possession? Is there a devil, or demons? Some say that are reptilians. What's your input regarding this? Jose, all beings bad, can be considered some kind of demon. Say that there are demons least bad, and worse. The image of demons, here in the folklore of your planet, has some breeds reptilians, who perpetrated many battles here for the control and ownership of the planet. They were a race of reptilians from Sirius has many thousands of years. Do not go over your solar system. They had protuberances that resembled the horns of some mammals, and had reddish leather. The angels sent by the gods had fought many times against them, to avoid the domination of the planet, and this led to many legends of your ancestors. With respect to possession, is actually state of mind, spirit who is wandering the planet, in the aura of the boundary, between the third and the fourth dimension, and refuses to be helped by the blue beings, can stay in this area for a long time, and has the possibility of mentally interact with people who may be with fault aura, allowing his access, or partial control of that person's behavior. These situations are extremely rare to happen, because these spirits can hardly keeping a constant mental state, by their own weakness. This attempt to cannibalization of energy and feeling of third dimension, is the only way they are to remain aware, at this transition zone. They are the ignorant. The vast majorities do not know where he is, keep vicious, and memories of the incarnation in the third dimension, and is afraid of being taken by blue beings by ignorance. If the person is being bullied, receive the attention due to repair his aura, as most will be immune to receive this kind of influence. At level 1 of frequency, there was not that kind of weakness of aura, which allows the external influences. Thanks for watching. Join our channel. You are welcome there.